Okay, so the reading today from Neville Goddard's collection. It's from his book, I Know My Father, chapter 5, He Who Has. And this is really him speaking about very specifically the art of deliberate creation and the law of attraction, which Abraham does a lot of work on, but he has his own way of talking about it. And what I love with Neville is he brings in the Bible, and I've never had the Bible interpreted so powerfully as a metaphysical mechanism and journey to the law of attraction. It's like the same material, but he's really unlocking the Bible for me in a whole new way and extracting the power from it in a way that makes so much more sense. I've studied the Bible my whole life. I was raised on it, and a lot of things didn't make sense to me or seemed to be inconsistent. And when I hear this interpretation, similar to Emmett Fox's, but it really takes it to a new level of power, joy, hope, possibility, and just logical clarity for me. And I really appreciate that. For he that hath, to him shall be given, and to he that hath not, from him shall be taken even that which he hath. Though many look upon this statement to be the most cruel and unjust of the sayings attributed to Jesus, creating, as it has the world over, the many popular remarks such as the rich get richer and the poor get children, he who has gets, etc., it still remains a most just and merciful law based upon a changeless principle. God is no respecter of persons. And so that means, what that means is God is not personal. He doesn't sit up there as a dude saying, well, I love you and you asked for this the right way, so I'm going to give this to you. It's a law or a changeless principle, as he'll call it. And the Tao, it's the way, right? It's just doing its thing. It's not like picking on anyone or choosing or playing favorites. It's about who you are, how you're feeling, and how you're thinking that gets you what you have. And it's in that neutrality that we can have confidence and more faith, and in this sort of personal, capricious idea of a God that plays favorites or punishes. God, so I'll stop there. You can't be punished unless you believe you deserve punishment. Take it from someone who's lived out feeling that they deserve to be punished because they were bad for a long time. You can stop that cycle, or if you believe you're undeserving or unworthy, you have the power to stop that cycle. But as long as you feel undeserving and unworthy, that's what's going to show up in your life. And that's not God picking on you. It's God giving you exactly what you're asking for based on this changeless principle. God, as we have discovered, is that unconditioned awareness who gives to each and all that which they are aware of being. To be aware of being or having anything is to be or have that which you are aware of being. Upon this changeless principle, all things rest. It is impossible for anything to be other than that which is aware of being. So in other words, if you feel or believe you are a poor person, you cannot suddenly become rich. That's why a lot of these things are gradual and not quantum leaps. We all want quantum leaps, get rich quick schemes, right? We all want those things, but what happens usually in the end is people go back to being poor because they didn't change how they really felt, and they were always afraid of losing it, and so they have to hold on to it. So, and vice versa, a rich person can't be poor. Once you've held that place of having money, even if you lose it, it will come back to you because you can hold that place of feeling abundant. To him that hath that which he is aware of being, it shall be given, good, bad, or indifferent. It does not matter what it is that you're aware of being. You will receive, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, all that you are conscious of being. In keeping with this changeless law, to him that hath not, it shall be taken from and added to the one that hath. So a lot of people think about this as being like a sort of personal law of retribution that Jesus is talking about. But really what he's talking about is just the law of attraction. People who have continue to get because they believe they deserve to have. It's that simple. And people who think that loss is their thing in life and are afraid of loss and abandonment, take it from someone who will lose and be abandoned and abandoned. That's the fascinating thing. These are cycles that replicate. So we have to heal that and believe we deserve love, and we can stay in people's lives and they stay in ours. And it starts to heal that we really deserve love. And when you realize and feel and believe you're someone who deserves committed love, that's what will show up for you. Or just don't think about it. If you can't get to that place and you feel just fear over loss, then you just get off of it and completely think about something else. And then what you want will show up, because you're at least not stopping it or thinking you don't have it. It'll become a smaller and smaller part of your vibrational state. Okay, so to him that hath not, it shall be taken from and added to the one that hath. So the rich do get richer and the poor get poorer. Yes, he who has gets, and you can have poverty. Be aware. People think of having riches, but you can have poverty too, and you'll keep getting more of that if that's what you believe you are. You cannot express that which you are not conscious of being. You cannot serve two masters. Your master is ever that state of consciousness with which you are identified. Therefore, that which is not in consciousness is taken from it, because it was never part of it. So in a get-rich-quick scheme, if you suddenly have a ton of money, they lose it, because he's saying it was never part of your consciousness. You still had the poor consciousness, and so you were going about it and believing in it in like a luck or a quick thing, and so that's how it showed up. So it was taken from you because it was never really a part of your concept of yourself. It's the same with relationships. I used to have those relationships that burned real hot. You met people, you fall in love in like a week, 2 weeks. You're living together in like 2 months, and so many people know this cycle. Suddenly you meet someone, there's this energy, or suddenly an item in almost no time at all. Then you're committed, you're together, and then somehow it just vanishes and leaves. Well, it came in hot and it left hot because you're both afraid of not having it, and it didn't feel real, and you didn't really take on that you deserve committed love, and so it couldn't stay. It was something that was done out of fear of loss and not having. And so the loss and not having must continue to show up because it's the energy you went into it with. So therefore, that which is not in consciousness is taken from it because it was never part of it, and added to that consciousness, which it is aware of it. So that's how it's given to someone who believes in it. So how it says it'll be taken from and added to the one that hath. So your whatever you used to have will go away from you because it didn't become part of your consciousness and become part of someone else's who believed it to be true for themselves. All things gravitate to that consciousness with which they are in tune, like attracts like, vibrational law of attraction. And likewise, all things disentangle themselves from that consciousness with which they are not in tune. You're not vibrationally aligned. So instead of joining the chorus of the have-nots who insist on destroying those who have, recognize this changeless law of expression and consciously claim yourself to be that which you have decided to be. After your decision is made and your conscious claim established, continue in your confidence until you receive your reward. So his whole thing is about, go in, meditate, take on the feeling of being successful or abundance or whatever you're asking for. Visualize yourself doing it. This is one way to do it. Abraham will also say you can just get off the topic altogether. So if you're feeling scarce about money or relationships, just don't think about it. That's how I got a loving husband. I'll be honest. I did not have success in relationships. I swore off relationships altogether, not knowing about deliberate creation or any of this stuff, and said, I'm going to die alone. I'm never dating again. I shut it all down for years. I didn't date for a solid 4 years, and then suddenly woke up in love with my husband, who's an amazing man, and we had been friends, and I had no idea. I didn't see it coming, and it's been amazing. It's everything that I've wanted in ways that are wild, ways you couldn't begin to assess on the front end of a relationship that this is the perfect fit for me. Like spirit took care of it for me because I got off of it. I didn't bring any of my stuff and my resistance, and this is how I have it, and relationships don't work out for me, and people abandon me, and nobody cares about my feelings. All these old beliefs I had, when I shut it down, those got smaller and smaller in my vibration. And so I created the space for it. The other way is this way with Neville, where you can start to really shift how you feel about things, but you've got to be committed to it. It's hard if you've been poor your whole life or you've lost a lot to suddenly feel abundant and that you're not going to lose. And so in some ways, I think it's better to get off of a topic if it's too much momentum on the negative side and just distract yourself. But you can also use this, and especially if you're part of the way there, this works really well, of just imagining yourself to have that job you really want, or the relationship, by closing your eyes, going inside, meditating, and really seeing it as happening, or really generating the feeling of excitement or having or abundance. But it's a lot easier if you've been there. If you've been, abundant, it's easier to remember, even if you've lost a lot, what it felt like to be really abundant and to have. So it's a very interesting thing. After your decision is made and your conscious claim established, okay, so he's saying in your consciousness, you've decided, I am abundant or I am loved. Continue in your confidence until you receive your reward. For as the day follows the night, you will receive that which you have consciously claimed for yourself. That's pretty exciting. Thus, that which to the sleeping Orthodox world is a cruel and unjust law, becomes to the enlightened the most merciful and just statement of truth. I am come not to destroy, but to fulfill. He's quoting the Bible. And I love this because certainly in the beginning, when you think that you are responsible for creating your world and you're attracting the things you have and take on that kind of accountability and ownership, first of all, it can sound completely insane to many people, but when you get there, it's also hard if you haven't lived a life that you love, because you think, why would I create this for myself? And then you feel even worse and even, but once you pass through that curtain, veil, whatever you want to call it, and realize that you have your power back, you have the power to create in your life, it's really, really exciting. You're not a victim to everything around you. And God isn't taking things from you. It's not a law of cruelty and victimization and things being personal. This is a law like gravity we can depend on and we can access and we can use. And I love Neville's take on it. I love that he's found it in the Bible. And I love that he's found it in Jesus, because this is 100% what Jesus was doing. And I've studied or reframed my relationship with Jesus through the Course in Miracles, which is very similar, which says that's exactly what Jesus was doing, that he had to change himself and how he perceived the world, and in that change the world around him in a big way. And this is exactly unpacking, Neville, what the Bible says he did. And I don't know, it's really cool to me. So knowing that God does not destroy anything, right? I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Knowing that God does not destroy anything, see to it that you are that. Claim yourself to be that which you want him to fill full. Nothing is destroyed. All are fulfilled. So again, it can be hard to accept at first. You say, well, I would never ask for poverty or being lonely or whatever. We all have our own struggles. But at the end of the day, if that's what you have, then that's what you've asked for. And so, like I said, that can be a really hard thing to face at first. We like to be angry. We like to blame. But there's no power in that. You give all your power away as a victim. And what do we have on our emotional scale here? So feeling powerlessness is all the way at the bottom, and feeling empowerment is all the way at the top. And this is the journey from victim to ownership and accountability to, the world's happening to me, to I'm creating my world. The interesting thing is you're creating your world wherever you're at. So the reality that's going to show up is going to reflect that. But when we consciously realize we have the power, we're taking it back and realize that creation and the lives we have are being created by our mind, that our mind is spirit. I always thought my spirit was something else. I didn't realize it was mind, body, spirit. I didn't realize that mind was part of my spirituality or feeling. But our feelings follow our thoughts. Beliefs are just thoughts I continue to think. So the point of power is changing what we think, and then we'll change how we feel. So this is a beautiful way of unpacking a powerful verse that's been used for a lot of things in the Bible as just evidence of the law of attraction. So anyway, I hope you got something out of that. Beautiful reading for the day. Have a blessed, blessed day. Sending you much love. Let's have, shall we? Or let's have the things we know we really want to have. So let's create by deliberate creation versus creating by default. So let's make sure we are focusing on and feeling and having the things that we really want and we deserve, and Spirit's always going to give us what we're asking for. We're all deserving and worthy. What a relief that message is. So all we have to do is believe it, and then we have it. I just think that's it's so delightful. I love equality. I love this idea that everybody can have the same. We just have to believe we're worth it. So you're worth it. I'm worth it. Let's live it.